Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to this episode of the Be Free podcast. Today, I am sharing a little mini episode around something that a few people have asked me about, and I thought I'm going to come on here, record this episode so you can come back, check it out, and get the support you need. So ultimately, today we're going to be talking about creating our own sacred space and our own altar. I was on the phone to my sister earlier and she was like, "Oh, do you have an altar? What's on your altar? What's it like? What do you use it for?" Um, and I was like, "Well, you will hear all in this podcast episode." Before I dive into that, I am not feeling 100% today, so my voice is a bit croaky, just feeling a little bit bleh. And interestingly, I had run out of my chaga. So I take chaga and apple cider vinegar under my tongue every day. So this is a type of mushroom that is like really high in antioxidants. Um, so it's really, really great for supporting your immunity. I'd run out of that. I'd also run out of my magic mind. So I'd run out of the two things that have really supported me over the whole winter, like through Christmas, no coughs, bugs, nothing. Um, and then it's interesting, isn't it? I've had this cold sore, which is like in my nose. I'm feeling a bit groggy, I feel a bit sicky. Um, so I drawn out both those things. So thank goodness they're both back, and thank goodness I've got discount codes for both of them for you. So check out the show notes if you want to try taking some Chaga products. I have a 10% discount code for my listeners and watchers who you can go and get 10% off your first purchase with 7 Chaga, which is a locally sourced family-run business, which I absolutely adore. And then the magic mind, as I said, oh my gosh, I'm loving it because I'm not having to take so many tablets now because it's all in one little drink. But as I said, I'd run out. So anyway, my subscription is now in place. And I can't remember how much I have off for you guys there, but I'll pop it in the show notes. I think it's either 20%. I think it's maybe 20% I've got, maybe 25. But anyway, check out the notes and the messages, and I'll put links to both. If you're feeling a bit blah and your immune system needs a bit of support, then go check it out. Okay, so creating a sacred space. So when I first started back in the day on my little spiritual journey, I literally started with a candle and a yoga mat at the end of my bed. And I had that in my bedroom when the kids were little, and I would get out of bed, light my candle, sit on my yoga mat, meditate, do some yoga, read, and that was the zone. Then, if anyone has ever been to my house or seen lives from my house, I have a lot of stuff now, crystals, essential oils, um, spiritual goodies, bits and pieces, like pretty much everywhere. However, I think it's really, really valuable to create your own sacred space. And I'm going to discuss some of the things you might want to consider. And the reason that I kind of felt inspired to record this podcast was I've actually shifted my altar from north facing to south facing. And I've noticed the energetic shift with that. So I'm going to chat into that a little bit. I'm going to turn, so for those of you that are maybe watching on YouTube, I'm going to turn my camera. So that's my altar over there, the triangle shaped thing. Apologies for those listening. Hopefully that wasn't too clunky, shifting the computer. So yeah, so that is my altar there, and that's where I sit and do my daily practice each and every morning. So why might you want to create your own altar? So ultimately, it's creating your own little piece of heaven, your own sacred space where you will begin to, your energies will begin to align, and from a kind of neural pathway point of view, your brain's going to begin to recognize, oh, here we are. We're at this lovely sacred space again. I know what happens here. We meditate or we tune in or we journal, for those kind of things. So when you are selecting your space, I would suggest you try and pick somewhere where there's not going to be a lot of traffic, i.e., I used to have in our cottage, have it in the living room. Our living room to get from bedroom, you had to go to the kitchen, you had to go through the living room. So for example, there was a lot of people going past. So if I was up early, that was fine. But if I wanted to do something later in the day, it wasn't ideal because, Lily would be going past or Stuart would be going past and kind of disturbing my flow a bit. So think about where you're going to have your altar. Now, your altar could be a shelf, it could be the corner of a room, it could just be yeah, like a cupboard in a cupboard. I've had it in a cupboard before, right? You can, like, you decide where your space is, how much space you've got. If you're fortunate enough, you could have a whole room. Bliss. My altar is in my office now, and I've got all my sacred goodies, books, crystals, essential oils here. So I love, love, love that. So your sacred space could be a place for journaling to decide kind of the purpose of it. Is it going to be for meditation? Is it going to be for journaling? Is it going to be for yoga? Is it just going to be a space of stillness? Is it going to be a space for reading? So have a little think about that because that will obviously dictate the amount of space you need, whether you need a chair or something comfy to sit on if you're going to be reading for any length of time. Um, but you're really demonstrating to yourself that you're worthy of this space of stillness, this space to drop in. And I would ask you to honor that space. So, if you have created this sacred space, you don't want it to be a space where you're scrolling and, doing other things like that. You really want to keep it this magical, magical space. Um, Creating your space, ultimately it's up to you how long you want to spend doing it. It can be super, super fun. I'm going to share a PDF in the comments or the notes section that you can download. So you can maybe begin to plan your sacred space and plan your altar. So yeah, consider how much space you're going to have, and then you might want to start to consider using the elements. So, when we bring in the elements, we're bringing in different energies which ultimately create the whole. So, you might want to think about earth, air, ether, water, fire. And you can use different things to symbolize each of these elements. So, for example, the earth could be a plant, right? You might want to use a plant, or you could use like a nice earthy crystal, like tiger's eye, something like that. Um, Air could be incense, fire could be a candle. Um, on a diffuser or something like that, or a feather. I have on mine, I'm just looking over, I have a feather, and I also have my incense and stuff there. If you're thinking about ether or spirit or like that expansiveness, I have an angel on my altar for that. So you for water, you could have things like moon water, or I have a shell as well on mine, which to me symbolizes the water element. Or you could have a vase of flowers. I've got flowers over there as well. Even a picture, but just thinking about honoring these five elements within your altar so you can create this energy. Now, I spoke about shifting my altar. So, when we are meditating or doing any kind of sacred practice and we're facing north, it has this more calming energy for us. When we're facing south, if you think about, a south-facing house, for example, and the sun rising, it's that more energized feeling. So I have spent a lot of time regulating my nervous system, like down regulating my nervous system, because I was pretty wired, for the past few years. So I was meditating facing north, feeling really, really calm. And then I've got to the point where I'm like, actually, I want to use my spiritual practice to really energize me, to inspire me, to uplift me in that way. So have a think about that as well. Are you wanting to use this practice to kind of really find that calm, or are you wanting to use it to energize? So I've shifted my altar to south facing, and as I mentioned, I have like you can maybe even see it, like if you follow me on social media, you will notice this uprising of energy that I've been experiencing. Obviously not whilst I'm poorly, but even then the optimism and stuff is still there. So thinking about that will be really important. Then what I would say is on your altar, you're wanting to use things that are going to support you, inspire you. So I have a card from a friend on there. I have a ornament that my mum gave me, which has an inspiring quote on it. I also use it to store, like where my altar is, the oracle deck that I'm currently working with, crystals I'm currently working with, essential oils I'm currently working with. So they're all being supercharged, supercharged on my altar. At the top of my altar there, I'm working, I've got images of the sun. I'm just looking over because that was something that came through to me in meditation. I wanted to connect with the energy of the sun more. I've got my vision board on the wall beside my altar. I've got words that inspire me and this future version of myself that I'm stepping into. I'm just looking and reeling off as we're going here. I have my crystals and little manifestation tools for a manifestation I'm currently working on. I have a little mini meditation book. My pendulum is there charging. So, and a sacred spray as well. It's busy. It's busy. So, for you, that might look different. So, think about if you're wanting to feel spacious, maybe you want to create that beautiful, spacious altar. But ultimately, it's things that are going to inspire you. Maybe that's a book of poetry. Maybe that's keeping a really special pen that you only use for your journaling in the morning there. Maybe it's essential oils. Maybe it's candles. Maybe it's fairy lights, blankets, crystals, nice things. What ultimately is going to really support you in feeling so sacred in a space where you can ritualize your life, where you can begin to drop in and connect to that source energy, connect into your heart space. So, really tuning in, thinking about the things that are going to inspire you. Is it something religious, like thinking about your faith and religion? I follow a number of different religions. I believe in a lot of different things, and find a lot of religions fascinating. So I've actually got quite a blend over there of um, Christianity and Buddhism, and I guess Hinduism as well. I'm just looking there. So there's a blend of spiritual things, but those are elements of those faiths that I really find quite inspiring and empowering. So thinking about that, it could be images of a loved one. I used to have a picture of my mum on my altar, but currently that picture is downstairs. Could be a loved one, it could be a pet, it could be an image or a scene of nature. So maybe you live in the city and like you want to connect with nature more. So maybe you have a beautiful picture of a forest or the ocean or an animal or something like that. So thinking about what is going to inspire you when you sit down. Um, Also think about things such as the sounds sounds, smells, fresh air, creating your altar somewhere where you can open the window now and again, or a door beside it can be really helpful just to shift the energy if there's anything that comes up. Um, as I say, connecting with all the senses, the more senses that we can begin to tap into and connect within our spiritual practice, the easier it will be from muscle memory and neural pathways to drop back into that space. So, if there's a specific smell that you love to meditate with, or a certain sound, like you can use the repetition of using those things to train yourself to drop into that space if you struggle to drop into sacred space. Um, so yeah, like that's just like a little brief intro. As I said, it could be a shelf, it could be a corner of a room, it could be a windowsill. It can be absolutely anywhere. It could just be you start with that candle at the end of your bed and you get out of bed in the morning and you sit on that yoga mat and you read a couple of pages of a book, or you listen to one of my meditations, or you join us in Soul Sanctuary in the morning and connect into that sacred space there. So lots of different ways that you can do that. Um, so yeah, I hope that that supports you. As I mentioned, I'm going to drop this little PDF. I'm just sharing it on the screen if you're on YouTube. Um, into the show notes so that you can go and click on that and download that and access it. Um, I am sending you all so much love. I am away to go and get my hair done and get ready for that and have a quietish afternoon, healing and feeling better, but very excited to get my chaga and my magic mind back in my system. And my cells are like, yay, it's back, which is such a boost. Before I jump off, just a reminder, we have our Be Free Book Club and Mentoring coming up. We start in the 11th of March. If you are looking to really shift your vibration this year, if you are looking to reduce stress, anxiety, overwhelm, just make some real positive changes towards your health, your well-being, your mental health, your lifestyle, then come join us. It's only £99 for 4 months of support from me. And again, I said this on social media today. If you can think of anybody that this might support, please, please, please do share it with them. And in fact, I'm going to share here. I've set the goal to manifest taking 100 people through this process. This is like a huge kind of mission, I guess, of mine for my birthday. I turn 46 on the 8th of March, International Women's Day. So I want to empower as many people to feel good in their bodies, their minds, and their souls again. And so I want to just tell you a little something that came up for me today. I'm part of a manifestation membership with Emma Mumford, and she made the suggestion to ask you, your manifestation. Yes, you want to manifest something. So I wanted to manifest 100 people going through this process. But why does that manifestation want you? Right? And this is what came up for me. This manifestation wants me as it will increase peace, happiness, and optimism. It will boost the vibration of the planet. Families, friendships, and relationships to self for the participants will flourish. The world will feel lighter, and the ripple effect of people's actions will change things for the better. And honestly, see when I wrote that, like it just like it just flowed, and it's just made me feel even more um inspired to really take as many people through this process as possible. So grab your friends, share it with a loved one. I will pop the link below. I have made it so affordable. Because I really do want to support as many people as possible through this process. This process, if you were to go through this one-on-one with me, you would be looking at spending over £1,000. So it's £99 and we are going to do it as a group and it is going to be freaking amazing. There's so much um, power in working through things as a group and as a community. And community is something I'm passionate about and leading people to feel good and inspired and thriving. And that is my mission. So hop on board, ask me any questions about it, ask me any questions about altar creation as well. I am here for it all, and I absolutely mean that. I reply to all the emails that I get. Sometimes it takes me a wee while, but I do reply, and I reply to all the comments as well. So please, please, please do reach out if you have any questions about any of those things. Go check out all the links below. Like, share, rate, review this episode with anybody who likes a bit of woo-woo and wants to create their own altar, or somebody that you feel would benefit from the support in and around stress, anxiety, low mood, depression, or just generally feeling fatigued and just a bit like stuck in the with life. Come join me for 4 months for £99. It's going to be amazing. So wishing you a great day, sending you so much love, and I will be back next week. Bye bye, my loves.